So, it looks like it'll be a while before I'm able to do much of anything. 2.5 hours. Oh wow, the counter's actually gone up since I recorded this footage here. It's now expected to be 2.5 hours. Just lovely. Yeah, I've been working on... Yeah, this is probably my most elaborate video to date. I recorded nearly an hour of interviews with no plan, no script, just getting people together and saying, go talk about a project. It was actually really difficult to find a way to piece a story out of the just dump of content. This was quite a struggle for me, but I eventually found a solution of breaking it into little chunks with each of the sort of supporting artists working on it, and then Mark, who is the main driving force behind the project, he spoke at length about the project. So eventually the solution I settled upon was to sort of put each other person in a small little 1-minute chunk describing just their contribution, and then just try to find a space where it would fit in with what Mark was saying. So in a sense, Mark sort of became the glue that held the 10-minute clip together, where each of the other people were the actual little blob of content. I'm quite happy with the way it had the flow. Of course, when you're recording anything, the centerpiece of story is conflict, and there really wasn't that much conflict in here, and I was trying to probe them to get them to talk about their struggles, their difficulties, and they were just kind of, oh, it wasn't that bad, it was just lots of work. I didn't want to be as melodramatic as one of those fireworks shows where every single time someone gets a little hangnail, it's a thing that could spell disaster for the entire crew. I wanted to be pretty true to the events that as they unfolded, but for the sake of making a video that is watchable, I did have to try to, introduce that conflict. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I actually think I learned quite a lot while putting this together. Yeah, it was a very involving project. While this renders, I'm actually developing media for yet another video that I also have to publish tonight. And this is a project between Brad Blucher and myself. And that was done the exact opposite way, where we scripted and planned everything down to the closest word. There were even points where, deviating by a single word was stop, retake. Of course, I see scripts as a general guideline, not a, prescriptive, you must hit this. But it's really been a learning experience to kind of record both of the opposite ends of the interview, art project documentation spectrum, and just seeing the pros and cons of each. Planning things is certainly a lot faster and easier, and you can just really get it like that. But I find just picking up a camera, getting people and going, and just having them blabber on for 30 minutes, and then finding 5 or 6 minutes of gems out of that, just seems to have a more organic, fluid thing to it, because when you're recording, it's just a mash of data. You have no idea what you're doing. As you're watching it, it's this big tangled mess, and you just don't know where it's going to go. Then you'll find little hits that could be conflict here and there, and suddenly you get this idea for a great arc, and you start putting pieces together and editing what you have to try to fit that arc, but it doesn't quite work, and you're left with something that's kind of in the middle between a classical narrative with an arc and a conclusion and a challenge to overcome. But it's also just the messy glob that is real life. You kind of meet that somewhere in the middle, and it's a rewarding challenge. I kind of hope I get to do more of this kind of stuff in the future, and thank you for watching me blather while I wait for this video to render. Can you tell that I'm bored? What am I going to do without my computer? Well, better fire up one of my other computers.